Hey there, everyone. It's GG Sober Sun. February 20th, AA Thought for the Day. Liquor used to be my friend. I used to have a lot of fun drinking. Practically all the fun I had was connected with drinking. But the time came when liquor became my enemy. I don't know just when liquor turned against me and became my enemy, but I know it happened because I began to get into trouble. And since I realized that liquor is now my enemy, my main business is keeping sober. Making a living or keeping house is no longer my main business. It's secondary to the business of keeping sober. Do I realize that my main business is keeping sober? Yeah, that is my main emphasis because everything else falls apart without that. But the main part of keeping sober is my higher power, the main focus, main relationship. If I have to choose a hierarchy, and it's funny. Well, it's not funny. I often say in AA that alcohol was my solution to a lot of my problems, right? But I came to realize that alcohol was a symptom of much deeper problems, that I would have kept on drinking as my solution had the problems not mounted up, continued to mount. And it also started, I think one of the earlier readings talked about it, sort of tearing down my soul kind of thing. It was sort of like my self-esteem kept going down, down, down. You can't continue to do shameful things, right, without it tearing or at least embarrassing things without it tearing down your self-esteem, right? And if I could have kept on drinking without those consequences, I would have kept on drinking, right? Because I didn't think I was affecting anybody. But in the end, I knew I was affecting my wife and my new stepkids, my new wife and my new stepkids. And that started really weighing on me heavy, you know. Meditation for the day. I can depend on God to supply me with all the power I need to face any situation, provided that I will sincerely believe in that power and honestly ask for it, at the same time making all my life conform to what I believe God wants me to be. I can come to God as a business manager would come to the owner of the business, knowing that to lay the matter before him means immediate cooperation, providing the matter has merit. Well, it would be the boss's decision, right? And if the boss had a different focus and a different vision, then it would be my responsibility to conform my matter to the manager or the owner's emphasis and vision, right? And that's the point of that connection with the higher power. And I'm very glad that the first sentence pointed to God of that meditation, considering the previous paragraph ended in, do I realize that my main business is keeping sober? Well, yeah, but the main business of keeping sober is keeping connected to my higher power. And I can depend on God to supply me with all the power I need to face any situation. And the big book says that, God does not make too hard of terms for those who earnestly seek him. For those who seek him, the road is broad and roomy, all inclusive, never exclusive to those who earnestly seek. I'm not sure what page that's on, but man, it resonates with me. And that, to face any situation. I just wrapped up a work order, right? So I'm a freelance IT guy, right? So I do all kinds of things. I can do work on electronic stuff in a restaurant kitchen or something like that, or I can be pulling cables from one building to another building, testing Wi-Fi, so on and so forth. Well, this time I got sent to a job site, and it's actually a local laboratory, for a printer, right? When I think printer, I think of, 8.5 by 11 sheet page printers like you might have at home, right? But a typical office printer. Well, then I got no other details, and I asked for it, but he was like, I think it's a laser printer. And I'm like, that doesn't help me. I need to know the make and model. And I almost didn't take the work order because it was for the next day, and I got no more information. So I walk into this place blind, and I have to go through cipher locked doors, and that always kind of creeps me out anyway. I'm like, what are you doing in here that's so secretive that you've got to have cipher locked doors and, swipe badges to get in? So anyway, I walk in, and it's a label printer, a brand that I had never heard of before, that I thought that brand only made watches. It was Citizen. And, anyway, I don't know what I'm looking at, right? I don't want to touch it for fear that I'll booger it up, but I take all the information off of it, the manufacturer and the model, and I just start Googling the crap out of it. And, anyway, I couldn't find any specific information. I said, well, I've gathered the information. I'm trying to get a hold of the expert, which, somebody who knew more about it. And I confided in the guy and said, hey, look, the experts can't be all, respond to all of these, but they send me because I know enough about generally everything that they can talk me through it. So I'm having trouble getting a hold of the expert, and so I'm going to go and do some research, and I'll be back. So I went back later that day to clean off the thermal print head, right? I have really no idea, but I got some alcohol wipes and so on and so forth, cleaned it off, did a test print, and it looked worse than it did before. And I'm telling you, these little things like this really get on my nerves. You know what I mean? I like to be challenged. That's the good part about this job, but I feel like sometimes I feel really defeated easily on some of these things. And my main frustration going into it was that I didn't have the information I felt like I should have had. And I don't think it's unreasonable to think that I should at least know the make and model so that I can do a little bit of research before I go onto the job site. But that's sort of image preservation for me, right? I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing, even though I don't know what I'm doing. I do know what I'm doing if I'm able to do some research ahead of time, right? To go on a job site and then not be able to lay hands on the equipment right away and do something is, I don't know. It makes me feel very uncomfortable. and a huge percentage of what I do is customer service more than it is my technical knowledge. It's putting the end customer at ease that their problem is going to be taken care of promptly, but it will definitely be taken care of, whether I order a new one or what have you. So there I was, and today I needed to go back to try one more thing that was within the settings on the computer that would tell the printer to print darker, basically. And basically it prints out barcode labels for the blood vials or what have you. Patient information kind of thing. And so I went back in armed with a little more information because I had it, but it had been 2 days since I'd been there. And before I went in, I was just like, God, however this turns out, it's your will. Whatever your will is, if I don't figure this out today, then it's your will. If I figure it out, that's your will, and thy will be done. And I walked in, and the guy was like, oh, it prints great now. It prints way better than it did before. And I was like, cool, sign here. Prayer works, when I let go and I let God. Now, again, had it not been fixed, I would have gone from there. But I realize sometimes that I go onto job sites with a head full of frustration, in this case, because I didn't have all the information I thought I should have. But really, it's up to God. And before I go on to any job site, I'm hoping to learn to let go and let God before I get out of my car. God, your will be done. So this is a very practical lesson for me today. I'll read it again. Meditation for the day. I can depend on God to supply me with all the power I need to face any situation. So, there you go. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may believe that God is ready and willing to supply me with all that I need. I pray that I may ask only for faith and strength to meet any situation. And hopefully that was a good story time example of this very thing. So keep coming back, y'all. This is a live and love and learn and grow and program, and it is practical spirituality. It's not foo-foo pie in the sky theory. We have to live it. We don't have to, but it's a matter of how good do you want to feel, right? And the closer I get to my higher power, the more I realize how practical my recovery and spiritual walk with my higher power is. It's meant to be practical, not just, me isolating and praying. I can pray on the go in the middle of what I'm doing. So keep coming back, y'all. Look up, aim up, rise up. Love ya.